In this episode of the meal prep series, we're making beef enchilada soup. We're going to be making a homemade sauce, beautiful spiced beef mix, all mixed together with that sauce to create the most beautiful blend of flavors. This is super easy to make, it's highly nutritious, and of course it's delicious. Let's get straight into it. Alright, starting out with the prep as per usual, we're going to need one brown or yellow onion. Let's remove the tip, leaving that root intact, slice it in half, and then just peel off those annoying skins. With each half, we're going to then make thin slices across, stopping at the root to hold it intact. Make a horizontal slice through the center, which I made a video previously showing the difference between that horizontal slice, so I suggest you go check that out if you think that when I do that it's wrong. And then we're just going to dice this into nice medium-sized pieces, trimming off any excess flesh from around the root, and you can save that for a stock. Next, we're going to need one red bell pepper or capsicum for my Australian and New Zealand friends. Everyone prepares these differently. I like to slice it in half and then just pick out the core and seeds, as well as removing the pith with my hands. Also giving it a little bang on the bench to remove any excess seeds. With this now, just lay it flat. You can do it skin side up or skin side down. If you're not very comfortable with a knife, I recommend putting it skin side down. It's a lot easier to cut. And then just slice this into strips. Rotate those strips 90 degrees and then dice this into medium to large size pieces. Last but not least, for the knife work, we need 5 large cloves of freshly peeled garlic. Crush them with the side of your knife with the blade facing down. This will activate the allicin compound, which is what gives garlic its strong flavor. And give this a rough chop, breaking it down into nice small pieces. You can also make a paste out of this if you wanted to, but the paste will burn a lot quicker in this recipe, so I suggest just giving it a rough chop. Now what we have here is the spice mix for the enchilada sauce. We're going to need 1 gram of red chili powder, 2.5 grams of ground cumin and garlic powder, 1 gram of dried oregano, and 0.2 grams of ground cinnamon. Then just add all of these to a bowl and set it aside. And you can cheat and just buy an enchilada sauce in a can if you wanted to, but I do recommend making it yourself. It tastes way better. With the sauce spices out the way, this is the taco seasoning. We're going to need 0.2 grams of red chili powder, 1 gram of ground cumin, smoked paprika, onion and garlic powder, and dried oregano. And it's the same process, just add all of this to a bowl, and once they're in, we're going to add in 20 cracks of black pepper, and then this can just be popped aside. Again, you can cheat and buy your own, but homemade is always best. Also, I just want to clarify, if you're confused about any of these ingredients, all of my recipes are always in the description. Now with that out the way, place a saucepan over a medium-high heat, add in 40 milliliters of avocado oil, and once that's hot, we're going to add in 24 grams of plain all-purpose flour. Give this a mix around and cook this for 1 minute. Don't let it burn, just continuously mix it. And what we're making here is a roux. This usually is made with butter and flour, but this time we're going to be using oil. What this is a thickening agent, which is going to help our sauce thicken really well, as well as when this gets added into the soup, it's going to create that fantastic consistency. Next to go in is the enchilada spice mix that we made. Make sure you don't add the taco one into this. And then we're going to continuously mix this again, only for 45 seconds, just to get those spices infused into that roux. This again is going to create that fantastic flavor into the soup, as well as the sauce. And if you are just looking for a basic enchilada sauce, this recipe right here is absolutely fantastic for that. To this now, add in 60 grams of concentrated tomato paste, give it another good mix through to pick up that roux so those flavors can become friends, and we're only going to cook this for about 30 seconds here. We want to be quick with the movements just because this can burn quite easily, and if it does get a little bit too hot, just reduce the heat down to about a medium heat. Once it's mixed, add in 500 milliliters of beef stock. You can also use chicken or vegetable stock, but because this is a beef soup, we're going to use that beef flavor. Season to taste with sea salt flakes, and then just give this a really good mix through, breaking up that roux and that tomato paste, making sure that it's nice and smooth, and if you need to, just swap over to a whisk to continue breaking everything up. In the process, we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to reduce the heat to low and cook this for 7 minutes, just so it can thicken up and become that nice tasty sauce, then remove it from the heat. To finish off the sauce though, we're going to add in an acidity, which is 20 milliliters of apple cider vinegar. This will really balance the flavors, and if you taste it before you add the apple cider vinegar, you'll notice that there's something missing. Give it a mix, pop it aside, and there we have the enchilada sauce macros, and that is per portion. Now with all those other components out the way, we can actually start the soup now, so place a large high-rimmed pan or pot over a medium-high heat. Add in 20 milliliters of olive oil, and that's just regular cooking olive oil. Then add in 500 grams of lean beef mince or ground beef. This right here is a 90% lean to 10% fat ratio, and I recommend leaving it in the shape that it comes in the packet. Put it down onto the oil and then let it build a crust for about 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, we can then break it up, making sure it's in those nice little pieces, continue mixing it around, cook for about 5 minutes in total, just until it's no longer pink. You can also season to taste during this process. This will help the browning and help a crust. I like to add in a nice little pinch of sea salt flakes as well as about 20 cracks of black pepper. Once the meat is browned, we can then add in the diced onion, the diced capsicum or bell pepper, as well as the garlic, and then continue mixing this. And we're going to cook this for 5 minutes now, just to get a little bit of transparency on those vegetables, as well as so they can release their flavor into the beef. The taco seasoning is the next ingredient to be introduced. Just make sure you have used the right one. You can also again hit it up with some more sea salt flakes as the flavors develop, but remember, seasoning is always to your taste. Mix this around and then just cook this for 1 minute so those flavors can become friends. Let's now deglaze the pan with 610 milliliters of beef stock. This obviously will deglaze the pan, but it also is the base to our soup. Follow that up with 1 can or 400 grams of washed kidney beans, 1 can or 400 grams of creamed corn. This is absolutely delicious. It goes really well in this and also lightens it up as well as creates that beautiful creamy consistency. And last but not least, add in all of that enchilada sauce, making sure you scrape it all out of the saucepan. Give this a really good mix through with a wooden spoon, place it over a high heat and bring it to the boil in the process. Just make sure it is completely mixed through. The kidney beans can stick together, as well as that creamed corn needs to be broken up a little bit. Once it is at a boil, give it another mix through. You can check it for seasoning again if you need to. Then we're going to reduce the heat to low and then cook this for 25 minutes just for those flavors to develop and for the soup to slightly reduce. After 25 minutes, what you'll have is this beautiful coloured soup. Smells absolutely fantastic, and I can assure you it tastes amazing as well. It can then be removed from the stovetop. As for serving up, as per usual, just divide everything by 5. If you wanted to, you can weigh the whole amount and then evenly distribute it across those containers, and the container size that I use is 750 milliliters. Garnishing for this one is completely optional. I'm using some roughly chopped coriander or cilantro, as well as some cheesy corn chips, but I don't recommend putting them in if you are going to store this because they will become soggy, as well as some lime wedges. And I recommend placing all of the garnishes in a separate container and just bringing them along with you if you take these out of the house. Storing these is super simple. Place in the fridge for up to 4 days and in the freezer for up to 6 months, obviously without those garnishes. And these can be reheated in a pan or a pot or in a microwave, or you can eat them cold. It is completely up to you. And this is the macros for the complete dish, as per portion. The only thing left to do is, of course, we can then dig in. This recipe is the perfect type of meal prep. You can eat it hot and cold. It tastes absolutely delicious and it's super easy to make. Obviously, we made the enchilada sauce as well as the taco seasonings. But if you want to cheat, go and buy a canned one or even use a taco packet mix. It's up to you. Obviously, homemade is always best and this does taste absolutely delicious. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.